Welcome to the TRiC podcast. Here I am, I'm Jared. I'm going to be the kind of host for this one. I'm going to be creating some structure for it. Meanwhile, we have some wonderful talent and perspectives to dig in from. First of all, we have Nick Powers here. You want to introduce yourself?
You just did. Thank you, sir. I'm Nick Powers, and to you.
It's me, I'm Ryan.
Ryan? Yeah, all right,
Ryan.
Perfect. Some anonymity, is that the right word?
Yep. No last name.
I'll blur out your face in post,
My last name is hard to say. It's not
And
hard
spell.
to say, but
It's a lot harder to spell than it is harder to say it.
yeah, but it just doesn't flow well.
No?
Well, you got Jared Adams, Nick Powers, Ryan Coronis.
No, that's badass.
It is, that is.
That's like the name of a main character from a novel. Ryan Coronis.
Also, not going to lie, I've been pronouncing it wrong this entire time. I've been calling you Coronius.
Yeah, that sounds about
That's
right.
how it's spelled. Coronius.
I think I say it that way so I can remember how it's spelled because
Yeah.
I've messed it up so many
Well, a
times.
lot of people pronounce it as Coronios because it's
yeah.
Coroneos.
It's not Neos, it's Noes.
You stumbled when you said it. It's Coroneos. Don't tell me how not to spell my own last name.
You learn something new every day.
we do. All right, so today's podcast is going to be on the focus points of organization, basically building that productivity schedule, the structure in your life, clearing out the mess and the clutter that can really take over, especially in business. I mean, whether it be, in the business that we run, or whether it be in real estate, which is a side business of mine, or really any avenue of life all the way down to your personal relationships. Organization helps you gain control over what you can control. And so that's going to be our talking point today. And we are going to be focusing on a couple different factors. I know yours, but I'm going to let you guys say them. So what are we focusing on today?
Well, mine are a bit more philosophical. I did a lot of research about the idea behind chaos and organization, or order, basically, and the relationship between those two, and how to turn chaos into order and make it efficient. That's my piece.
All right, and then I'll be going into tips and techniques you can use to help improve your organization in day-to-day life, whether it's personal or work-related, to help you be more productive and organized so your mind doesn't get all fluttered while you're trying to figure out your own to-do list.
I love it.
There we go.
Yeah, honestly,
And
I'm
then-
working on these things too.
Yeah.
I think we all are.
And then there's a few tips on how to use AI to help you out,
Very cool.
Mr. Savvy.
because we love AI here.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Without AI, we wouldn't be doing anything. AI is a phenomenal tool, and we'll get in more into those tools and the fundamental resources that we can use in order to increase that organization, especially with those modern day changes such as AI. Now, as we're going over this, we have a moment here to discuss a sponsor, aka me. No, no. But end of the day, chaos, like you mentioned. We'll skip over some sponsorship here, but when it comes to that chaos, I have a tattoo on me for anarchy, right? And a lot of people will take that as like, oh, this is a man of chaos, right? This is a man who's unorganized. But as you guys know me, no, everything's organized, because if it wasn't organized, then my entire life would be purely chaos, and I would get nothing done. There would be no productivity in the chaos. And so that comes down to the structure of our team even, right? Because I'm with innovation, right? So I come up with ideas, I come up with crazy concepts that we have to make a reality. And ultimately, we've got our scholar over here who knows the factors. He knows the knowledge behind the concept or the idea to be able to make it happen, right? And then we've got Ryan over here, who's our warrior, fully, and he loves to tell me no.
That's all I ever do.
Oh, you know how much I love to hear no.
You
too.
have a good idea, and I'll find any way to disprove it,
Yep,
and then research in how to undisprove it.
absolutely. And that's the thing, is it's refinement, right? So we have these concepts, we have these ideas, we have this direction we're moving in, but without that refinement, it's just chaos. So going back to the tattoo, like the anarchy tattoo, it does not mean that I only will do chaos. If I was only chaos, I probably wouldn't be living today. But without chaos, where is progress? Right? I mean, that's kind of my concept of it. If it's just structure, you're just going to follow patterns. And if you follow patterns, we're not doing anything new. But new things are chaotic.
That's why a lot of houses aren't made out of hay anymore.
Absolutely.
You know,
Hey, somebody had
it's
to
a
be
good,
crazy.
It's a good structure at the start, but when it gets windy enough, it all just blows away.
Those damn wolves huffing and puffing.
I know.
Huffing and puffing.
And we're just the three little pigs. We got Kay over here with the straw house. And then, what was the second one?
Thatch.
Was it thatch?
Or no, thatch house, wood house, brick house.
Yeah.
Why do I get the thatch house?
Well, because you're the idea creator.
Oh,
You
okay.
created the
Yeah, no, that
idea.
makes sense. Okay.
Nick helps kind of refine it a little bit, and then I'm here to be.
You're the wolf.
Yeah.
You're the wolf blowing down our vineyards.
Yeah, we got
that's
two
your
little
job.
pigs and a wolf over here.
That works out a lot better, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you guys put your minds together to build a brick wall that I can't blow away.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Keep blowing it down until we get it right.
No.
I like it. And that's really in life too. I mean, like, if we weren't organized, like if we just had a great idea and we just went on and we just started going crazy with it and we had no structure and no organization, somebody's going to find our idea, use that structure and organization, and then they're going to do it a million times better than us and a million times faster, right? And they're going to avoid the pitfalls that we fall into every day. So that organization really is the structure, just like you guys were talking about. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yes?
Your other tattoo, though, you're matching a tattoo, I think is the perfect dichotomy and the reflection of order.
Do we need to show these tattoos off?
No. See,
Let's see them.
No, but I have what he's referring to is my Avengers tattoo. And I have an anarchy tattoo on one calf and an Avengers tattoo on the other calf. And
Adventure.
Avengers. I view it as, the yin and yang, the balancing act. Without anarchy, then we're not having new ideas, as we discussed. But without the Avengers, the structure, the teamwork, the building of all these different facets and different personalities, just like us, we are different people.
Right.
We are all very different people, but together we make something beautiful out of chaos.
We're a team.
We're a team. So let's dive on into our topic here. So organization, I know you have a definition for us. Is that right?
I do, and I actually have it this time. So.
It's almost like you're organized.
Precisely. Definition of organization is to arrange into a structured whole, or in other words, order. And I was like, well, that's interesting. It basically means to order something. And so I looked up the definition of order, and this is where, to me, it reflects more the idea of organization. So, definition of order is the arrangement or disposition of people or things in relation to each other according to a particular sequence, pattern, or method. And so to organize is to give order to different factors. And yeah, I guess that's the definitions of both of them.
Yes.
I know it's the definitions of them.
Technically speaking, they are the definitions according to a dictionary, which was written by a man. So, we'll get into that.
Here.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's all
I guess
words
this is
are.
what people think. I mean, I don't know.
I guess this is the definition. Who knows?
Words change constantly. It just takes a couple of 100 years for us to force them to change. So, yeah, evolution.
For now, that's the definition.
That is. So that's going to be our focus matter, the structure, organization, how it really helps us, and how being organized is not the opposite of of having chaos or disorder. It is really a balancing act between the two that makes progress possible. So, out of that contraptual thinking, or conceptual thinking, however you want to say it, how are ways that we've used organization in our lives?
Okay. So, in a brief way, I can't function without a high level of organization. I'm very neurotic, and I need my ducks set straight for me to even be able to wake up and move. And so, my room's clean. I have tons of lists I'm surrounded by, different lists for different ideas and topics that I have in my life. So I have my, personal to-dos. Here's what I have to do to keep myself happy. I have my to-dos for the people around me. Here's what I need to do to keep my family happy and my friends happy. Here's my obligations. And then beyond that, I have my business to-dos, and that's shared between you guys of our to-do lists, our structure, our timelines.
Absolutely.
And without any sort of organization, if we just said, hey, we have this great idea, let's do it, and you started doing something and I started doing something, you started doing something, we would come to the crossroads where we realize we've stepped on each other's toes and I've made the idea true to what I thought it was, which is not what you thought it was. And then we have a miscommunication and so on. And it took us a little bit to get organized, but when we did, it was like a superpower. It was like, oh, we're all on the same field now. Like, we all understand. We didn't have to, like, before our meetings used to be, what are we doing here? What are we trying to accomplish? And now it's like, here's what we've accomplished, right? Because we've gotten ourselves organized. We set our ducks straight and created a path for us to move forward on. However, on the contrary, without the chaos and the unstructuredness of our meetings, and I really think creating a structure that allows for chaos and destruction is absolutely vital, because I've tried to hyper-organize my life and then that never works. I set myself up. I used to plan every single minute of my day.
Yeah.
And then as soon as a curveball got thrown in, my entire schedule would fall apart and it sucked. And so now it's looser. And what's the saying? It's like a flexible plan is a good one, or what, do you know the saying?
I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but I mean, you're absolutely
plan is
right.
A solid plan.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's the idea of, like, if you have a plan and an idea and it shifts, something happens, you get it thrown a curveball and it all falls apart, well, then you don't have a very good plan.
We're jumping into adaptation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If your plan isn't adaptable, then it's not really a plan. It's just a hope.
Yeah.
It's like, I hope we get it done.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
within the structure of us as a business, as a company, we allow for a lot of chaos to ensue. Okay. We have very long, unstructured meetings that meander into, finances, and then personal life, and then back to a marketing, and they go all over the place. And then we just write it all down and organize it afterwards. Because if we structured our meetings so down to the minute of every, in 5 minutes, we're going to be talking about this, meeting adjourned, and we're on to this now. It's like we allow for a lot of chaos, and then we clean our mess up and make art out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so vital to the business we're in, which is like creating. Anytime, and even this could go for artists, this could go for writers, this could go for anyone who is creating, is they need room to be creative. And creation relies on destruction. And you have to break things down to then restructure them again. Like when you go to make a painting, you start with the shapes. You break down your idea to the simplest form, right? Lines, shapes, broad colors, and then circles.
A lot of circles.
Whatever. You break it down into whatever shape it is, and then you build. You build from that. So that was a very long-winded answer.
But I love it.
We allow for room for destruction because it's necessary. It's a necessary part of the process.
You can't build something new until the previous thing has been broken down.
Right.
And so we have that room in place. And by the way, as CEO, I adore you right now because I mean, that's the thing is, like, I try to make sure that our meetings are as structured as possible. But if we go off on a tangent that still has something to do with what we're talking about, what our goal is, and still is in line with our mission statement, then that's a great thing. And you talking about that, adjustability and adaptability.
Yeah.
I always think of a race car driver. Because here's the thing, right? I mean, let's talk about NASCAR, okay? So, I mean, NASCAR, you're driving in a circle, right? It should be pretty straightforward. Everybody who doesn't watch it or know what's actually going on thinks it's the most simple thing in the world. And ultimately, it's actually incredibly difficult. Not just the bravery that you have to have, but in the structure of knowing how to use the vehicle, knowing your vehicle, knowing how to drive, knowing the track, knowing the lines that you have to drive in. And that's the structure, right? Mm-hmm. But the chaos is the combination of all the other drivers. So when you're riding along this NASCAR strip and you're racing with other people and there's a crash that happens ahead, you're going 200 miles an hour. There is not time to stop, right? There is not time to stop and rethink and then go again and restart the race, right? What they have to do is they have to adapt with the chaos. And the best drivers that you end up seeing, they don't just adapt with the chaos. They actually use it as an advantage. So like, I don't know, I find that to be one of our best strengths actually, is the fact that we allow that room for the chaos. We allow that room for that adaptability. And in turn, we don't just allow it to slow us down. We learn from it and we adapt quicker every single time. And we eventually be able to get an actual head start or a competitive edge on our competition, thanks to the fact that we allowed chaos into our structure and organization. So I love that.
Well, I was gonna jump in, but had such a good point.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No,
I had
no.
to get it out or else it would have bugged me.
I know, you would have blew up.
Yeah.
I must talk about cars.
I know, my head
And
started
the
thinking about
chaos.
racing. I was like, let's go.
When we are in our meetings, like you approach it very structured.
Yeah.
We don't. We'll sit there, we'll talk smack about someone. We are very unstructured.
I don't let you guys talk smack about people for more than like a minute, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is when we do, you then tie it back into the exact thing we're talking about. It could be, we could be like, yo, do you think rainbows are real, man? And you're like, well, the thing is, guys, you always find a way to tie back the chaos and implement it to adapt.
I'm glad that that's never been something you guys have said in a meeting, because I don't know how
me too.
adapt that. I mean,
You would have found a way, though.
Thank you. No, but absolutely. I mean, in our meetings, I mean, they've gotten better every single time. You know, it's the speed of being able to evolve. You know, finding the issue, finding the steps to fix the issue, and fixing the issue. Faster we can get to those 3 points, the faster we evolve. So, absolutely. And Ryan, we've left you in the dark here, but what was your
that's
focus
okay.
point?
I'm not more of the philosophical guy.
Philosophical.
I'm more of the
Philosophical.
philosophical guy. So yeah. I guess I could go into a story about how organization really applies to me. About how even just talking about this really opens my eyes to a lot of things. Because for 95% of my entire life, I was never organized. My life was filled with chaos, and somehow I managed to still get stuff done. I never really had a to-do list or nothing like that. I was just like, oh, someone told me to do this, whether it was like yesterday or 3 weeks ago, it pops into my head and then I just do it. Or it's like, it's always running around in the back of my mind. And ever since joining here, I've been a little more organized with my life. Being able to hit deadlines a lot earlier than...
I've seen huge improvement, just by the way. I mean, just personal or business. I mean, and not to say you were bad before. You're saying you are. I didn't see you in that time period, you know. But yeah, I mean, you were doing
my
great.
life mostly was just spent of sleep, eat, shower, work, sleep, eat, shower, work. I was stuck in that loophole of just not being anything more than what I was. Just being a worker. And now we have the opportunity to grow, become better people, more organized, with a mix of chaos in there.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not a bit, probably a lot. It was a lot of chaos starting out.
Yeah.
Hey, and I sure hope there's going to be a lot of chaos going forward, because that's what's created all these great ideas. But,
right.
Exactly.
No, actually, if I may, I kind of want to jump in on that, because I am not remembering this man's name right now, and I've seen the meme 100 times, if not 1,000, but just do it.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, thank you. Yes, I mean, it's funny, because I saw that meme the other day, and, you know, I mean, it's an old meme. You know, I mean, that was something when I was a teenager.
You're an old man.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, I was watching this new meme that was released with it, and it was just that video of him going, just do it. And it popped up with these words at the top that were like, I had no idea how real this actually was to real life. And it was like, yeah, like I watched it and I laughed. I'm like, this man is ridiculous. Just do it. Okay, for sure, man. You need to like get off some, whatever you're on. But no, like now that I'm looking at it, right? He's absolutely right. Because when you just do it, right? Like let's say the organization's not there yet, right? The organization's not there yet, but you have an idea. You have the chaos. Just do it. And then let it be chaotic. And then find the organization within the chaotic. And then when you figure out how you got to that point of organization, then jump over into adding more chaos. And then figure out how to use the same tactics to build organization to that chaos. And repeat, and repeat, and repeat. And the faster you can repeat that, it's the same thing. I'm finding a problem and fixing it. The faster you can repeat that process, the faster we can get new ideas. And not just new ideas, but new ideas that work. So yeah, just do it.
Just do it.
And I mean, that's the same thing. Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing even with this podcast. I mean, like, we're doing our best here. And, this is a fairly new process for us. And we're making improvements every single video. And there's chaotic moments.
We got lights now.
Organized. We have lights now. We have lights, we have better cameras.
But when we did start, we just went like, oh, we should have a podcast. How do we do that? I don't know, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we just like pooled our ideas together, threw something at the wall and went, well, this worked. 80% of it didn't.
Right.
And then we're like, okay, so if we fix the 80% and then throw some more stuff at the wall, we're just seeing what sticks. And we're going to keep throwing stuff at the wall till we have a beautiful painting. And then we can present that proudly.
Yep.
Jumping over to, there's a saying, and it's from a song. Again, I do not remember which song this is, but it basically says that art, or I guess you could say beauty, comes from when scars become art. And the way I kind of view that, I mean, like, obviously that can be taken very personally. I mean, we all have scars in our personal life, but I mean, like on a business side as well, because, personal life reflects business life and business life reflects personal life. So the scars that we have are the mistakes. The scars that we have are injuries where we went wrong, right? And everybody does, and everybody tries to hide it nowadays with social media, for instance. Everybody says, oh, look at my life with these fancy cameras and lights and how wonderful it is. And look at the money I'm dropping from a helicopter. That it's just this idea that everything's perfect.
Right.
And so, I mean, with that mindset, we got to start looking at our mistakes as accomplishments. Because if we never did it, if we never made that scar, made that mistake, we would have never had the opportunity to turn that mistake into a learning opportunity, which through all of us and the refinement and the bouncing off of each other and our different personalities and different specialties, it brings us to the point where we can turn those scars into art.
Take Lux Lane, for example. I wasn't there for that, but that was a
Lux Lane. Yeah, Lux Lane was our very first go.
That was short-lived.
Oh yeah, we were like, we need to make an e-commerce store that was going to be focused around fancy jewelry and like, high
fancy,
prices.
Yeah.
Moissanite crystals and then we ran with it. Built out the entire site, we were lining up social medias. And then as soon as we actually got to doing it, it just ended up not working out.
Oh, we didn't even throw ads into it. We never advertised it.
It was
once.
never live.
Nope.
But
did you ever purchase a domain?
No, I never purchased the domain either. Like we just built it throughout, our sources.
Yeah.
And that's all we did. We built it all the way through. We got to the point where we had logos and everything. We were ready to go
I did
live.
actually like the design of that logo. It
well,
was
and
really
it's not
cool.
a bad
courtesy of me.
Yeah. No, but
Courtesy of Canva.
Lux Lane is not dead, right? Yeah. I mean, Lux Lane is not dead, but the way that we ran it, the way that we constructed it is dead. Our mistakes are dead.
So
but now
I deleted it.
The
idea is not dead. The Shopify theme is. It was bothering me.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But that is the thing, is like all these stores, we just didn't have the right take on it.
Right.
We didn't have the right mixture. And, and we're still learning. So, at that end of the day there, it's just, it's a learning curve. And if we wouldn't have made that mistake, we wouldn't have made Divinity Groves. Right. And Divinity Groves is doing phenomenally. I mean, it grew, 3 months, 200%.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely incredible what we can do when we put our minds to something. And if we wouldn't have gone and made that mistake, it would have never happened. So
right.
It's something to be proud of.
It is, because we just decided to do something. We went, here's an idea. kind of cheapy jewelry. Let's just run with it blindly. We ran into the dark, and then we realized all of these hurdles, and we overcame 80% of them until we went, well, we screwed up way back there. Let's use what we've learned now and turn it into something that is actually going to work.
And then just imagine, now that we've done that, you guys have done Lux Lane and then Divinity Groves, and now we have 3 more Shopify stores in the working.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine how far those will grow now that we've learned so much.
Wonderful. That's absolutely true. And so we are going to take a brief intermission here, take a little moment to take a breather, drink some water. Next, when we come back, we're going to be talking about tips and specific strategies that we can be using. And then we're going to go into resources and tools that can help with our organization and bringing in and wrangling that chaos for it to be productive. And we'll start moving on from there. So,
yes, sir.
Cue intermission. And we're back. All right. So, strategies and tips for organization and best practices.
Tips and tricks, baby.
Tips and tricks. I like it. So, what's on your guys' minds in that regard?
Well, I covered the philosophy, and as far as the tips and tricks go, you know more.
I do.
The main reason why Ryan is the best to really go over this is the fact that you've applied a lot of these in your life.
I've applied a lot of them, but also I'm probably the most disorganized person throughout my entire life. I have more time of disorganization than anyone.
Absolutely.
Even though you're older. I'm sure you are a lot more organized than I ever was. Because I honestly really never applied organization into my life until I joined the company. It was always more of I got something to do. Don't write it down, don't nothing. Either I remember it or I forget it.
Real quick though, I mean, how has that affected you personally, if I may ask? I mean, after you've applied these tips that you're going to share with us, I mean, what's been the outcome so far?
Well, I'll apply it mostly in school because that would mostly relate to your ability to organize.
Absolutely.
And study on blah blah blah. But I was a C average student.
Okay.
So I got by.
Yeah.
But I was never really successful in that regard.
Yeah.
I never really planned out my thoughts. My room was always a big mess.
Right.
It was never cleaned up or nothing. It was always cluttered. So my mind was always cluttered. There's a big correlation
Absolutely.
to a cluttered room to a cluttered mind.
Yes. That's the reason why my desk looks like I'm a serial killer, because everything is in an exact place, and when someone touches something, I know they touched it. It bothers me. But yeah.
Do you have OCD in you?
Yes. We don't need to talk about that. It's okay. It's a superpower when used correctly.
This is actually an intervention, man. You're gonna lay
on
off.
Camera.
Well, I'll start with one technique, and then we'll see if you guys ever heard of it, ever applied it. Kay, you honestly might have done the first one, is the KonMari technique. The idea where you get rid of anything that doesn't spark joy. So if you look at an item, take that plant. Oh, it's green. I hate green. Then
green is my favorite color, but yes.
I'm giving an example.
I know.
Then you toss it because you're like, I don't want this. And you don't have to do this with everything, but you want to do this into a specific room, whether you sleep there or you work there. Ideally, you want to do both.
Yeah.
So you have full optimization of joy, in a sense.
To add to that really quick, just because you related it back to me, a big thing with that is the question of why. So for instance, if I see something and I don't like it, it doesn't bring me joy, I ask the question of why. Because sometimes the reason it doesn't bring me joy is because it's difficult, because it's something that I'm not comfortable with, or because it's something that I'm not using properly. And so a lot of times, like, you are absolutely right. If something does not bring me joy and it is in no way will it improve my life, absolutely. But I have to go through that process of proving to myself that it cannot help me before I'm willing to take that cut out. And I think that also plays into organization, like organizing your thoughts to have the scientific method in correlation with that.
Yeah, this is more of like an organization technique for your personal life.
Yes,
to help clear up your mind.
Even business, though. I mean, absolutely. Because, I mean, like in business, I mean, there's a lot of times where, I mean, as the CEO, I have that final hammer, so to speak, and I want your guys' opinion on just about everything I do so that I can have that mirror to look back on and refine. But at the end of the day, there are decisions that have to be made like that. When a question is asked and there is no time to make it, I have to give an answer, and that answer has to be right, and I can have to make it in 5 seconds. So that thinking, that assertiveness, or that direct path towards making that choice, it's a very valuable skill that is learned. But yeah, I love it.
In essence, to me, it's like, I love the saying, cut the fat. It's like, you're not going to use it. It's not going to help you. Get rid of it. It serves zero purpose.
As you can see, I like to keep the fat.
Well, you're warmer than I am. Earlier today, I was complaining, it's cold. And you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And that's why it comes down to the why question.
Right.
Because, I mean, hey, if you're living in Antarctica, heck yeah, I'm going to put on some weight.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Mhm.
So it all comes down to why. But here in Arizona, where it's 1,000,000 degrees on a daily basis,
Cut it.
cut it.
Cut the fat, bro.
Cut it. Get lipo if you need to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're cute though. But
What?
What?
I didn't hear you. I was talking over you.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, I said I think you're cute, but now I'm gonna have a lawsuit on my hands. So, all right, what else you got for us, Ryan?
No more thoughts on the KonMari technique?
Well, have you used it yourself?
I
Do you
have.
an example?
I actually had an example from when we first started, when we were actually moving out and trying to declutter everything.
Yeah, we got rid of
We
everything.
cut so much stuff
Uh-huh.
to the
Yeah.
point where it was just like, do we really need this?
Yeah.
And we didn't have a lot of time either to sell it or think about it or make a decision. We had about 2 days.
Yeah.
And we would just pick something up and go, we don't need it.
Yeah.
Throw it away or donate it rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
And we
fun
didn't really have the
experience.
storage in the new place.
No.
Hey, that taught you guys a valuable skill, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different perspective, but it also just taught you the power of assertiveness. I mean, imagine if it took you a week to make that decision, like holding
Right.
on to it, being like, do I need this? Do I not need this? And then the day comes around where you can't be there anymore. And it's like, well, I still have everything. So I guess
Right.
I'm spending, thousands of dollars on multiple U-Hauls.
Right.
So it's like, it's a learning experience in life. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, next one I have is the 1 in, 1 out method.
Okay.
Have any of you heard of that method at all?
I have not.
No.
No?
Enlighten us.
Enlighten us. All right, so basically it's the idea where when you want to get something new, say a new sweater or something,
Mm.
to avoid the clutter and to keep everything well balanced in your life,
So when you get something, you get rid of something.
yeah, you get rid of an old sweater.
Mm.
And if you find that you don't want to get rid of the old sweater, you don't get the new one because you don't really want it that badly. You have a sweater that you prefer way more over the other.
It is funny. I use all of these things. I just had no idea they had names.
I couldn't find out who created the method though, so that kind of sucks. I think it's just a very broad term.
Yeah, it's a rule, a
Yeah.
broad rule.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's probably just used all over the world. I mean, there's probably people over in Africa, London, anywhere, China. I mean, that all use that exact same thinking, and it may even have a different name. But yeah, absolutely.
And so just that's basically a good way to balance everything. Keep everything not so full.
Mhm.
Instead of just getting one new item after one new item, you get rid of the old one. You either give it to a friend, say you get a new book.
Right.
you get rid of the old book, you sell it, you give it to a friend, or you burn it.
Burn it, delete it.
We're talking about this as in items, but I kind of want to tie this into time management because that's something that I actually face with real estate. So like my job, I do a lot of phone calls and a lot of organization, and I work with a lot of different people, and I constantly find better ways to do things. But what I've been doing, at least for probably about 6 months ago, for the year before that, I basically would add to my schedule at every opportunity. Every time I learned something new, I would add to it. And now I'm learning that if it's a better way to do something, maybe I don't need to add an extra step. Maybe I need to replace the whole thing with the better system. And that's exactly the same thing, just on more of a fundamental level, right? Like a task rather than an item. But it's the same thinking of if you just keep adding and adding and adding, and whether or not it's better or not, if you hold on to all the old, it's just going to become so much you can't handle it. It becomes chaos.
Yeah.
And the enemy of organization. I love that.
The enemy of organization.
Yeah. What else you got?
On to the
for
next
us?
one, or Nick, do you want to have your
let's pick
2
his brain.
cents?
No, I'm curious to hear the next one, man.
Let's
The
do it.
next one? Okay,
Sure.
the next one isn't focused on organization. It's more focused towards the
Get out of
productivity.
here.
No, you get out of here. Open up your mind a little.
Yeah, we
Okay,
need
all right,
some
all right.
chaos here. We've been very
Yeah.
organized. Let's throw some chaos.
Well, because organization is linked with productivity. And so to help organize your thoughts,
hmm
you'd be productive.
Absolutely.
So we have the Pomodoro technique, which is the Italian word for tomato.
Really, the tomato technique.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
It was created by Francesco Sorello, where the idea came from because he used a tomato-shaped kitchen timer.
Mm.
And so what the Pomodoro technique is, the tomato technique, is blocking the work. So 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest. And
Yes.
it's actually a good example to use for actually blocking out your to-do list. Spend 25 minutes just working on what you need to do today.
Focus. Yeah.
Mhm. Then rest for a little bit. And if you find that you still have more stuff to write down, you do the technique again.
Oh.
Ideally, you want to write your to-do list either right when you wake up or right at night.
Yeah.
Either or, it's all down to preference.
Again, I know I'm the one who keeps talking off of these, but I've used that. I have a tomato timer on my Chrome. It's an extension. And it was a recommendation from one of my mentors. And they actually, they recommended that extension. They recommended this technique. And they said, okay, well, you can decide how long your focus time is going to be. And it's going to be unique for each person.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is when I got it, I thought it was amazing and it worked. But then the problem is that I would fall off of the structure. And I would think, okay, well, yes, the timer ran out, but I need to finish this before I forget, which in a way, I think that's really good so that I didn't forget and I still finished it. But the problem would be that then the break time would be used up and then my brain would go, okay, well, I still need to stay on track, so I'm just going to keep working. And what I ended up finding is by doing that, I'm just forgetting the organization. I'm forgetting the structure. And I'm just focusing in on the focus time, the productivity. So it really is that balance.
Yeah.
So like nowadays, I have a 10-minute break and I focus for an hour. And for me, that works really well.
That's actually one of the suggestions when I was looking it up.
Okay.
Was it wasn't an hour, but it was like you're able to change your work time because like you said, it's different for everybody.
Yes.
One of them was 50 minutes, work for 50 minutes, and then break for 10.
I like it.
And I actually do this technique subconsciously. I don't actually have a timer where I'm just like, I work for a little bit and then my brain gets like exhausted.
Mhm.
So I take a break.
Yeah.
My breaks are a little longer than the 5-10 minutes, but the work session usually is about roughly 40 minutes.
Right.
Normally it's because of my smoking addiction, is because I'll be working and then it's like, I can't focus anymore. Time for a
Right.
smoke.
Right.
So you take the smoke break and there's a beauty in smoke breaks. I'll tell you. There's like
I'm going to say there's a beauty in breaks, and I say that because I don't want you to die. But, we all have our...
no.
Yeah,
This
we all
is
have
I'm
our
not
vices.
I'm not encouraging anybody to start smoking.
Right.
If you haven't smoked, don't start.
Never.
It's really hard to break.
Yeah.
But there was a beauty in it. The beauty
Yes.
in working really hard and then going into a designated spot to go and smoke.
The ritual.
Yeah,
ritual, yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
structure, absolutely.
Exactly. An organized working structure that I have.
Yeah.
It was all built subconsciously. I didn't really do anything this is exactly what I'm going to do. I just did it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I feel like that's the beauty of perfect organization, where the pieces of the puzzle create themselves and fall straight into place. These techniques, you didn't know them, but you still practice them
Mm-hmm.
just because that is the most efficient way of getting something done.
Yeah.
And through just what has worked for you, turns out it's already a technique that somebody else has written down and practiced and put out into the world.
Yeah.
Which means that that's a pretty darn good technique, is if it's appearing by itself without any arm in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's timeless wisdom.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, before we go into anything else, I'd like to ask you guys, what would your preferred organization strategy be? Would it be on digital, or would it be you would rather have it written down on a piece of paper or maybe a visual board? I know you have a manifestation board, which
do.
actually relates into organization.
Oh, absolutely. I have a clear vision of where I want to go, and I increase that vision as much as possible. I get as many specific details as possible. And again, this came from one of my mentors, right? So like this wasn't something naturally that I thought of, and I probably would have thought it was ridiculous to have pictures of cars that I may never afford, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, by having those pictures of that specific vehicle in a specific color and a specific way in a specific setting at a specific time frame, that gives me not just the motivation, but the clarity of, okay, my steps aren't just to make enough money to buy this. My steps are from wanting it to actually sitting in the driver's seat and turning the ignition, or in this case, pressing the button. But
Your dream car is a Prius.
no. It's a Pagani. No, it is though. I want a Pagani. Yeah. Oof. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, I have specific houses, I have specific visions, I have all of that, and I have to say that is one of my definitely preferred methods. I really like having something visual because I can picture it.
Yeah, but how do you block out your day? Block out your day from
that's the thing.
What needs to be done.
Yeah, so that's the motivation, right? So that's the beginning step. But blocking out my time actually comes down to that tomato effect, or
yeah.
But
you do have it written down somewhere. You do have a written to-do list, that you typed out.
I do. I have a written to-do list, digital. I have the visual manifestation board for motivation, and then I have the timer to refine my to-do list. And by doing that, because as you guys know, I have multiple avenues, right? I mean, I focus on real estate for the majority of the time. That is my trade. And then every other moment of my living life is dedicated to you guys and this company. And so, you know, without all three of those, I genuinely don't think I would be as productive or as organized as I am. So it's actually interesting. Every tip that you used on there, I mean, although you should start on one, focus on it and perfect it, and then add another, they all play into the different steps that fall into that organization. Like they are all required.
Organization is a very broad topic.
It is.
Super.
Because you could go into the mind, how to
yeah.
organize your mind. Mostly the recommendation for that is meditation.
And organizing your life, like you said about your room.
Organizing your life, room, then organizing work, which is also related to your life. But you can separate those things because you can have a clean room, but then a dirty car. Like a dirty car. So while you're driving to work, your mind is cluttered while you're driving down the road, trying to like think of, oh, what do we got to get done today? Oh, I have no clue. Versus maybe if you had a clean car.
My car is full of open house stuff right now, and it is cluttered beyond belief. So like, yeah, completely get it. And
it goes same with your work environment, your work office. Your work office.
Your work office.
Yeah.
Everything is organized except for what I use to travel.
So now what's your preference, Nick? Digital or physical?
I like a mix of both. In the morning or at night, I will write down my to-dos on a piece of paper. But I don't want to carry around a notebook with me everywhere. And my organization system is like 5 pages. And so I have to have it digital, or else I'd be carrying around a book with me everywhere I go. So I have it on my phone. I have it linked to my laptop. It's all in my personal folder on my computer in my drive. And it's like it's probably more now. It's probably like 7 different documents that I'm like, okay, this document is compartmentalized for this part of my life. This document's for that. And it's extremely neurotic. If I were to show you guys, I'm never going to. It looks like how you said your desk looks like a psychopath.
Yeah.
That's what like my computer looks like.
Yeah.
If you were to go in there, you'd be like, this is too structured. But for me, I have to have that hyper organization of like, here's where every little thought can trickle down to and be caught by this document. And there's nothing that's missed. And when there is, my organization system grows. When I realize this isn't quite working, I figure it out. I let it fall naturally into place. But what about you?
Yeah.
Digital, physical,
I
spiritual?
spiritual. I have my to-do list is in my mind. Everything that I need to do today is all written up here.
Which is really impressive, actually, because you've always gotten everything done. We write down to-do lists during meetings, and you sit there and just absorb. I don't fully understand your mind, but
I
it's
don't
cool.
either. I'll be like, Ryan, what are you working on for the day? You're like, I have to do this, and next week I have to do this. I'm like, how do you remember it all, man? You'll say like, here's the game plan, and if I don't write it down, it's gone in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're doing something. Like, I really have to see it. I'm a very visual person.
The only time I do write stuff down, and when I write stuff down, normally it is digital, but I try my best to get a piece of paper in front of me with a pen, because that is the best way to absorb information, is physically writing it down.
Yeah.
When you physically, if I were to have to pick, I would choose physical, because it really ingrains what you need to do into your head, because you physically remember yourself writing it down.
Yeah, the muscle
We
memory
text
enters your
almost
brain.
24/7.
Yeah.
There is not probably a day that goes by where you're texting somebody.
Yeah.
And that is ingrained into your head. It's just texting. When's the last time you've wrote a letter?
I mean, probably about a week ago, actually, but it was a unique situation, so that's a rarity.
But it's very rare.
Yes.
And this is just muscle memory at this point.
Yep.
With writing, it's still muscle memory because you know how to write everything, but it's the bigger movements in your hand and actually seeing the words that you wrote on a piece of paper, like to-do list, what you have to do. And obviously, to-do lists. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
How would you guys write your to-do list?
For me, I like bullet points. I like bullet points with details beneath them.
So you like a very structured list.
Extraordinarily. My to-do lists are very structured.
And it's just literally bullet point, what you have to do, bullet point, what you have to do.
Yeah, but like
Or is
what
it-
I have to do is generally descriptive. So it can be paragraphs. But like I can have bullet points under bullet points under bullet points under bullet points, and it's all to fully encompass. So if I have a to-do list item that, let's say, it involves having to do something with your side of the company and having to do something with his side of the company and having to, negotiate or communicate with a partner or some external contractor, every single facet, every program, everything that we do, I write down in extreme detail so that when I see it, I see the big picture of what it's trying to accomplish. Because if I can't see the finish line and I just start from the starting point, how can I predict how long it will take? And if I can't turn that into a metric, then I can't speed up the metric.
Okay.
If you don't track it, you can't change it.
Now, do you list them? Do you list your to-dos in lists of importance, and how would you write that? Would you just go down the line of like, this is most important, top of the list, or
How do you prioritize your to-do list?
It's a great question. Generally speaking, my prioritization comes down to who is going to be affected by this decision. And so the question really comes down to, what are they trying to accomplish? Am I going to get in their way if I don't accomplish this by a certain point? And that's what brings up my priorities. My priorities aren't focused on myself because I am so integrated in so many different systems. So my priorities based on who's going to finish this by this point, which means I have to finish this by this point. And by increasing other people's deadlines, I in turn increase my own deadlines.
Right.
So that's how I personally do it. I really want to delve in deeper into this to-do list item and into these different things. But real quick, we do have to start closing up here.
Yep.
What are the best resources, the best tools that you can use?
I really wish we had some more time because there was something I really wanted to talk about. But some of the best resources is AI. AI is a superior resource, especially now, especially since you can sync up certain apps with ChatGPT or Notion. Notion, not sponsored, is a free organization app that you can use to just help do everything that we just talked about today. Being able to block out stuff that's in list of importance, stuff that I wasn't even able to talk about.
Well, and unfortunately, that's not me. That's time, you
I
know.
know.
So organization, it's deadlines, you know. It's the way
Yep.
it goes. But we are going to be discussing next week productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we get into productivity, it, as you mentioned, even, you know, while we were discussing this beforehand, it deeply entangles with organization.
Yeah.
And so these extra points that you have, hold on to them. We're going to get them out. We're, you know, if anything, you know, build up some anticipation. No.
Next
But-
week on Tricorium.
Next week on Tricorium. But, you know, ultimately, I mean, you mentioned a phenomenal point. You have so much information to share on this. I'm over the moon about it.
We need more time.
We need more time. But isn't that life? We always need more time. So
Should have organized your notes better.
hey, that's the
Should have
thing though.
organized you guys better.
We need some chaos, we need some organization, we need some structure, and the combination of the two is what makes it beautiful. So, you know, this is a work of art. This organization, what we do, how we help people, it's a beautiful thing. And we have a lot more information to share, and we have a lot more time to share it, but not today. So, thank you for watching our Tricorium podcast, affectionately known as TRiC, T-R-I-C. And, you know, make sure to leave a comment if you disagree with anything, if you agree with anything. We respond to just about everything. And ultimately, we like refinement. So if we're doing something and you disagree, let's talk about it. We're going to debate. We're going to find the truth. If we're wrong, thank you for sharing it. If you're wrong, we'll help you get there. So have a great night. Thanks for listening to our podcast. And yeah, we'll be back at the same time next week. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, as well as YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. Have a great night, guys.